Recording is starting. I don't know how much you guys know about Meet, but if for some reason you can't hear me or your sound isn't very good, you can turn on captions. Okay, if you go to the bottom of the screen, there's a turn on captions. You have to do that. Okay, if you want to do that. Okay. All right. So if everybody would go to the Google Classroom, I know some of you have already done this. And there is, I'll present my screen so I can show you exactly where it is. All right, there is a question that I would like you to take 1 minute to answer. If you are in the stream part, it is the third one from the bottom. It says Google Forms experience. All right, it's a multiple choice question. I just want to get an idea through a Google form what type of experience you have with Google Forms. Okay, it's one question. So if you go to the Google Classroom, if you click on this Google Forms experience Google form, all right, we'll be able to get some real-time feedback.
The question says Google, your experience with Google Meet. Do you want to know about Google Meet or Google Form?
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
So I meant Google Forms. That's what happens when I have 3 different PDs. Sorry about that.
No, just want to make sure.
Let me see if I can. All right, so this is from some of the other PDs that I've run. Should have reset it, but I didn't get a chance to. So I see a lot of people have used Google Forms before. All right, they definitely need more practice and tips. Okay. Some people have used it a bunch and they're just picking up some new information. Some people have never created a Google form. All right, and we have a couple people, this would be the first time that they've ever used it. All right, so we have a lot of people who, over 50% of the people who have used forms before, all right, but they definitely need more practice and tips. All right, so I'm going to show you some practice and tips today. I'm going to show you some tricks of the trade. Again, I'm going to show you how I use it. I have been using Google Forms more and more every single year as we've moved to more online stuff. Okay, you go to the agenda. I'll show you some of the things that I've used Google Forms for. All right, types of forms I've used. All right, this is in the agenda. So I'll just click through these real quick. All right, I've done surveys. Okay, surveys are a good thing you can do with Google Form. Okay. This was a technology survey that I put out this summer. Okay, just by asking simple questions. You can use checkbox questions. You can do long answer tasks, texts. All right, all types of questions in a Google survey. It's pretty easy to do. I'll show you how to do that today. All right. I've had students do project proposals. All right. So at the end of my AP Gov class, students have to propose a project. All right, and they can propose a project. Pick one of the ones that I want them to do. Tell me who they're going to work with. Okay, give me some information and tell me how they want to be graded. And then that's easily collected in a Google form. I can have it all in one spot. All right, so that's nice. I've turned, worksheets into digital worksheets. Okay, we did a lot of this past spring in our U.S. History PLC as we took even Google Docs and turned them into Google Forms. And what's nice about this, and I'll show you how to do this today, is that we set this as a quiz. And when you set something as a quiz, you can type in feedback to the students. And you don't have to give point values on a quiz, right? But when a kid takes this and answers these questions and then submits it, they get instant feedback that I've already typed in at the beginning. And I'll show you how to do that. It's really, really easy. All right. So kids who don't want to wait for me in a office hours or a meeting can get instant feedback from just submitting a form. Okay. So another thing I've done. Obviously quizzes. I'm not going to show you that. Okay, quizzes are easy. You can do all types of questions in quizzes. Peer evaluations. I tried this one this year. All right, where students are doing group work and they present a project in the front of class or digitally or whatever, and I have the other groups evaluate them through a Google form. Okay, so which group are you evaluating? This is my U.S. history kids who did progressivism PSAs. What issue were they trying to bring attention to? How well did they do it? And I use these linear scale questions. I'll show you how to do that today. Okay. And then I had them rate it. And this gives all nice, neat information at the end. Okay. That's nice because you get a ton of responses, 114 responses. That's just from one class. Because they're great. You can set it so that kids can submit a new form every time a group presents. I've had students self-evaluate. Right, so every time we do Socratic seminars or fishbowl seminars in my classes, I send kids a link or I hyperlink a link to a self-evaluation through a Google form. Right, basically, I think I stole this from the internet somewhere and kind of made it my own, but I turned this rubric, this self-rubric, into a Google form. Right, so I can see how kids thought that they did in a project or a seminar. Right, and it gets them to think about how they did, how prepared they were thoughtful, they shared their thoughts, etc. And that's easily reproducible. Again, it's tons of information all in one spot. Okay, unit exams. I have taken pretty much all of the unit exams I give in all of my classes and turned them into Google Forms. Okay, it's easy to push out to kids on the Chromebooks. It's easy to grade. It's easy to see data. Right? It's easy for kids to make corrections and turn it back in digitally. Okay, so unit exams. And then this one is interesting, especially if you're a teacher who likes to give kids choices, all right? Or you're an elementary school teacher who wants to let kids kind of choose their own path, right? This is called branching, all right? You can set up Google Forms with different sections. Okay, so like in this one, I have different sections to my Google form. Right, section 1, section 2 is George Washington, section 3 is Abe Lincoln. I have a Frederick Douglass section and a Susan B. Anthony section. And I let kids choose who they want to study today. Right, so if they pick George Washington, all right, I'll show you how this works. All right, you can always preview it. This form is set up to say, which historical figure would you like to study today? Let's say they pick Frederick Douglass. And then they hit next. All right, it takes them right to my Frederick Douglass section of the form, where I've given them a quote and a picture and then some analysis question, and they could submit it. And then they can, because I've set this up, all right, they can go back. I'll just type something here. It was great. Set it up so that they can submit another response and go back and pick George Washington this time. Right? This time it takes them right to the George Washington part where they watch a video. This is called branching. Okay, it's a little bit advanced, but it's easy once you figure out how you want to do it. All right, you can set it up where students will go to different parts of their form based on the answers that they pick in the first part of the form. So like I have this set up. I'll show you how to do this later. If they pick Abe Lincoln in this first question, it goes directly to section 3, Abe Lincoln, right? They'll take them right to this part, okay? I know that was a lot. I just kind of given you an idea of some of the things that I have done over the years. Everything in this agenda, I don't know if you've noticed, those of you who've been to my PDs before, is hyperlinked. Okay, so if you lost or there wasn't anything that you don't get today and you want to be able to do it later, you can go back and you can click on any of these hyperlinks. And it's either a video that I pulled from the internet, or it's a how-to that I made, or it is something from the Google Form help website from Google. Okay, so that's all there as well. All right, so that's just a preview of some of the things you can do. And again, that's me. That's a high school teacher. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Everybody has the code. Okay. No questions. Awesome. All right. Let's do a tour. Let's talk about Google Forms. And I know I'm going to start super basic. All right. So that everybody knows where we're going. All right. How do I access Google Forms? All right. I access Google Forms for me, depending on which screen I'm in. All right. I always try to access things Google-wise from the Google Apps or the waffle up here. And this is in your email, right? This is in your calendar. Okay. This is in basically anything Google. All right. So I go to Forms, which is right here. You could also type up in here in the address bar forms.google.com. All right, but I'll click on this, and this takes me to my Google Forms home, so to speak. All right, you'll notice that they changed our logo. Nice. Our One Webster logo is up here. That is my face, so I know that I am signed into my Webster account. I'm going to get rid of some of these tabs. And I can access any form that I've ever created as a Webster client. Okay. I can get previews of them, right? I can list them A to Z. I can do it by folder, right? I can do it this way where, you see everything in a list. Okay. I can search a form up here, right? Let's say I want, APUS test. Do a search. We'll pull up my APUS exams. And this search button isn't the internet. This is searching anything in Forms. Okay. That makes sense. I don't like this list view. I like the grid view so I can get a preview of what I'm doing. Okay. All right. So that's how you get your forms, any that you've ever created. Now you'll notice in the home section, there's a bunch of stuff up here. Let's talk about this first, right? There's templates. So a worksheet template, a blank quiz, an assessment, an exit ticket. You could actually click on hide all templates if you don't want to see these anymore, or you could go to the template gallery, and there's a whole bunch here as well you could pick from. Buyer beware. Templates are nice if you're like new to Google Forms. I mean, templates are templates. They give you some questions that you can use, and you would just fill in what you want.
Eric,
Yeah.
But I don't have that. Mine say no templates available. Your organization doesn't have any.
Are you signed in your Webster account?
Yep.
Interesting. Does anybody else have that? All right. Well, you don't want templates anyway. They're cumbersome.
Okay.
I always start with blank because you're starting from scratch. All right. And the best way to learn Google Forms is to start from scratch. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you some words to the wise. I learned this the hard way. All right. And this is with anything Google. If you want to stay organized, the first thing you're going to want to do, obviously, is you're going to want to title your form. Okay. So we'll call this, we'll make a survey first. Survey, the opening. And now watch what's cool. Once I type that in the top left corner and I come down here and I click on untitled form in my form, it'll fill it in automatically for me, which is pretty bomb because I don't have to keep typing that. Now, once you've named your form, this shows up. And again, another habit that I started to get into. You guys probably know that anytime you make anything in Google, it automatically saves on your in your drive, right? If you want to stay organized, there's always this button here, move to folder. Okay, so I can put this Google form in any folder that I want. All right, so it's easily searchable in my drive. All right, I'm not going to do that right now. Okay, you can star it. All right, I don't know why people star things. I've never used that. I really don't even know what that means, but whatever. Okay. So the next thing that I do after I name it and put it where I want to put it in my drive is I always come over here to the gear. Okay, I want to set my settings for this Google form. Okay, and when you go to settings, when you go to the gear, okay, you're going to have three things. You're going to have general, you're going to have presentation, and you're going to have quizzes. Okay, so general settings. Do I want to collect people's email addresses? It's a pretty self-explanatory, okay? I will say that if I'm giving a survey and I want it to be anonymous, obviously, I'm not going to collect people's email addresses, okay? I will say, though, that if I am giving a quiz or a test or an exam, I turn this button on, all right? Because this then obviously allows me to collect their names, and it allows me to return their test or quiz, all right, or anything that I'm grading through their email, which is nice. Okay. So if it's just a survey, I don't want to know, it's anonymous, whatever, I won't collect email addresses. All right. If it's something that I want graded and returned back with feedback, I will turn this on. Okay. Response receipts. Notice only becomes highlighted if you click collect email addresses. That means that whoever takes your survey or your Google form will get an email with their responses already in it. It won't give them the answers. It will just give them their response receipt. It just means that they're getting a copy of what they did. I usually don't click that. Okay. Since it's a survey, we will not click that. Requires sign-in, all right? Restrict to users in Webster CSD and its trusted organizations, all right? So if I only want this to be in-house, if I only want it to be within the Webster CSD, if it's just my kids, my students, or it's my PLC, all right, or it's whatever, anybody within district, I usually click this. If you unclick this, notice, you can send this to people outside of the district. So when would we do this? Again, in my AP government class, my students made public opinion polls and they put them on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and they wanted people to take those polls. You have to unclick this button, okay? Because then it allows people outside of the district to take take their survey and allows the students to get data. All right, but if it's just something within your classroom, you can restrict it. Limit to one response. All right. Respondents will be required to sign into Google, okay? One response is self-explanatory. At the end, when they click submit, that'll be it. They're done. Okay? If you have this clicked. If you unclick it, like I just showed you on that Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln one, at the end, it will say there'll be a link to submit another response. All right, so think about that. If you want people to take a survey and have multiple opportunities to take it, you would unclick this. All right, if it's a test or a quiz or an assessment or something that you're trying to get, an idea of how kids are doing on, you would click this button. All right, so every time I give a test or a quiz or whatever, this button is clicked for me. All right, so kids can't go back in and take it over again. Respondents can edit after submit and see summary charts and text responses. All right, so someone takes my Google form and there were some short answers in there and they submit it but didn't like what they said, so they can go back in, click on that link again and edit it after they submitted it and submit it again. Okay, I usually don't click that. All right, but if you want kids to, let's say they're doing a project proposal and they submit it, right, then you have a discussion with them and say, maybe you should think about changing these things. They could go back in if this is clicked and fix what they had, right, and then resubmit it. See summary charts and text responses. All right, that's for the class or for whoever the respondents are. All right, so let's say you're doing a class survey or a school survey and you want the kids to be able to see the summary charts, right, of the data and the responses. All right, you would click this. Does anybody have any questions? Kim says, can you change the settings after students have completed the form, maybe to make corrections? Kim, I'm not 100% sure on that one. Okay, you can make changes in your form on the fly, but when it takes effect and how that affects kids is up in the air. I believe if you came back in and clicked this button, it would then allow kids to resubmit, but I'm not 1,000% sure on that. Maybe that's something you can play with in the hour that you have today. Okay, you're welcome. Presentation, that's the next thing in settings. And there's only a couple things here. There's show progress bar, which means if you have sections in your form, like I just showed you, I had a form with 5 sections, right? You would want to click this because it will allow kids, let me show you one more time what that looks like. All right. Having sections is nice because when someone takes it, it doesn't just give them the whole thing all at once, right? So in this form, this branching one that I just showed you, I have sections 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In my settings, under presentation, all right, I should have show progress bar, okay? And that will just show people how far they've gone, all right, in the form. Okay. Let's see what happens. Do that again. So I pick him, he goes next. Oh, it didn't work because this is a branching one, but it works, trust me. Okay. Where was I at? All right. Shuffle question order. This will shuffle the questions. If you don't care about the order of your questions in your form, okay, it doesn't matter. Let's say you're giving a quick assessment in class and it doesn't matter what order the questions are in and you're concerned about kids cheating off of each other, all right, you could shuffle the question order. Okay, there's the problem with this though is if you make a form and then you print your form for kids to have a paper copy, it only prints one paper copy. Meaning, you you could have 5 kids in class, and their questions are all shuffled on their screen, but they won't be shuffled on their paper copy. Okay, so think about that. And then show link to submit another response. This is only clicked because in general, right, I don't have this clicked, limit to 1 response. All right, if I click limit to 1 response, when you go to presentation, this is grayed out. Now, you could come to general, unclick limit to 1 response, go to presentation, and still unlink this. I don't know why you would. If you want people to submit more than 1 response, you would want to show them a link to submit another response. Okay? And then your confirmation message. This is what the message shows up on the screen after they've taken the Google form. All right? The generic one is your response has been recorded. You know, you could type here, thank you for taking my survey. Okay. I click save. All right. The last thing in that settings function. So we did general. We did presentation. And the last one right here, this is the big one, is quizzes. Okay. If you're doing a survey, don't make this a quiz. All right. If you want to do an assessment and get an idea of where kids are and offer feedback and assign points, right? And I'll show you this later. If you're a Google Classroom user, even allow Google Classroom to import their grades into Google Classroom, you could do this. All right, so I just want to show you quick what happens if I click make this a quiz. If I click make this a quiz, you get a whole bunch of new functions. Okay, first off, let me talk about this locked mode on Chromebooks. All right. I don't know how many teachers have used this mode before. In theory, what's supposed to happen is if you make a quiz and then give kids the quiz on their Chromebooks, it's supposed to, and you turn this on, it's supposed to lock their Chromebooks, which means kids then can't go open another tab or another browser and start searching for answers. All right. I've used this once and it didn't work. Okay, so I don't use this. I talked to Mr. Brian Zimmer about this, and he said some teachers swear by it and some teachers think it's awful. So I don't use it. Okay, and people say, well, then how do you stop kids from cheating? We do have this thing in Webster that you can get. It's called Classroom Relay. All right, I've used that in the past, which allows you to basically see and lock kids' Chromebooks in your classroom while they are taking it. All right, or you could just get up and walk around the room and make sure kids aren't cheating. Okay, so I don't use this. If you make it a quiz, this gets alive now. When you release the grade, do you want it to happen immediately after each submission? Meaning, Eric Thurley takes the quiz, hits submit, and immediately he's going to get his answers. He's going to get what he got wrong. All right. He's going to get his score. He's going to get it automatically. If you have things that you want to manually grade, like let's say I give a test or a quiz and there's a short answer question. I don't want Google to immediately release their exam or their quiz or their assessment right after they take it because I want to go in and grade that short answer stuff. Okay. What will happen? Well, let's say you have a multiple choice section, right? And you put the answers in and that's worth 50% of your test. And then the short answer is worth 50% of your test. Okay. And you have this clicked. Kids will see what they got. They'll get a score, let's say, out of 100 from only their multiple choice. So you'll have kids coming to you and saying, why do I have a 30 out of 100? Well, because I haven't graded the second part of the test yet, right? So for now, when kids submit They submit and I tell them, look, that's just like you handing me a paper copy of your test. I'm going to go and read all your answers, make sure the grades are what I want them to be, and then I'm going to return it to you. This is later after manual review. It automatically turns on email collection because to return it to kids, I have to have their emails. Okay. What do you want kids to see in a quiz? Do you want them to see which questions they missed? Absolutely. I want them to see what they missed. And I want them to see the correct answers. And I want them to see the point values that I assign to each question. Missed questions, correct answers, point values. All right. And that's in the quiz function. Okay. Let me just show you quick what quiz does. All right. What making this a quiz does is it allows you to make a question. All right. What is today? All right. Notice it's multiple choice. We'll talk about the question types in a minute. And then Google's cool. They give you all these suggestions sometimes, and they realize that this is this question. So I can add all of these. If not, you could just type them in. And now, since I've made this a quiz, this shows up. Answer key. If this wasn't a quiz, this wouldn't be here. All right, so in answer key, I click on this. It allows me to click the correct answer. Today's Tuesday. It allows me to assign it points. Let's say this is 5 points. And it allows me to give feedback. And I can type feedback here. It is the day after Monday. Whatever. You can put whatever you want here. Notice you can also, in your answer feedback, this is really cool, you can add a video. Okay? So a kid gets this wrong, incorrect, doesn't know what day of the week it is, right? You give them written feedback, but you could also come up here, this little button right here, the YouTube button, do a video search for days of the week. There's the song, the Walrus song, sweet. I'm going to select that and put it in their answer feedback. I could also go find a link, a website that I want them to go to. You could link one of your Google Docs. You could link a Google Slides presentation. You could link anything that has a link and put it in your feedback. Right? So, I know we were all about giving kids feedback this last spring. Okay? This was how we did it. Not only did I write feedback here, but sometimes I attached videos and sometimes I attached links to other things. Okay. So there's the feedback. Days of the week, right? Tuesday, 5 points. You'll notice automatically that it starts to keep a running tally. Total points 5. As I keep adding questions and assigning point values, this will start going up. Okay. That's what making a quiz does. Rachel, if you make a quiz, I know you can go back in even when the students are in the middle of taking the form. You can change the points or change which student response is the correct. This is fantastic because I've given a quiz where I've forgotten to add points. Yes, Rachel, yes, you can, as long as the kids haven't submitted it yet. Okay? If the kids are mid-quiz or mid-form, you can change stuff on the fly. But if Johnny submitted it already, you're going to have to go back and fix it manually, I believe. All right. Any other questions? So that's what, just to review, that's what doing this does. It gives you the function to add feedback, give points, all that stuff. Okay. I'm not going to make this a quiz. I just want to do a survey first. Okay. And I'm going to get rid of this question by deleting it. See this delete button down here? Whammo. Okay, let me keep going. Let me give you some other tour here. This puzzle piece right here is called add-ons. All right. I don't know what you guys know about add-ons, but add-ons are apps or extensions that are on the Google Chrome store that are supposed to make the functionality of whatever program you're in, we're in Google Forms right now, better. Right? I will say of all the things that we have Google-wise and Webster, Brian and Joe have given us the most access to apps and extensions and add-ons in Google Forms. So if you click on this, these are what we have. Okay? Advanced form notifications, choice eliminator, form approvals, form notifications, and form publisher. I am not going to have a chance to go over these today. Okay? I did put in the Google Classroom, all right, Google Forms add-ons, a whole cheat sheet just on Google Forms add-ons if you want to do that today at some point or later. Okay? Those of you who said that you're good at forms and today in our hour when you have time to play, you can play with these add-ons. I've used them, right? They have some functionality, but you don't need to do these today. These are the ones we have. This button right here, customize theme, the paint palette. All right, today you're going to click on this. This allows you to change what your form looks like. Now, you don't have a ton of options, okay? You do have options, like you can change the color. Purple is the general, so if you like red, make it red. All right, if you want it blue, whatever. You can make it whatever color you want. You can change the background color. You can change the font style. They give you a whole bunch of choices, like 4. Basic. I would never, ever use decorative, especially for kids. They can't read it. Formal's pretty good, and then playful is Comic Sans, which I don't know. Kids still have a problem with Comic Sans, so I use basic as much as possible. Notice you also can change the image. That's the image that people see at the top of their form. Google has given you actually a lot of options here in their templates. Okay, these should look familiar. These are your Google Classroom ones. You can break it down by illustrations, food and dining, party, whatever. Okay, I like playing with these. They're fun. Work in school is always good. So let's say I want, this one, the books, and I insert it. That now becomes my picture, my background picture. All right. You want something different, okay? You can upload it from your computer. You can take it from Google Photos. This is not from your drive, but you can take it from Google Photos. Let's say I want it to be, we're studying D-Day, and I want this picture to be in there. Right? It has to fit within their window. There's the D-Day landing at Omaha Beach. I want that to be the theme of the Google form. Okay? That picture amazes me, by the way. All right. So that's this button. All right? This button is preview. Okay? I've showed you how to do this already. This is probably my favorite button in the whole Google form thing because it allows you at any point to preview what a form looks like as someone who is going to take it. And it allows you to take it. Okay? I don't have any questions here. I'll start putting questions in a minute. But later I'm going to click on this button and we're going to be able to see how preview works. Okay? And it'll not only allow me to see what it looks like, it will allow me to actually take my own form and see the response. Okay? Settings, I've already shown you. The purple button right here, send. Big. Send form. This is pretty self-explanatory. This means that I am sending my form for people to take it. And I can do it through email. All right. If it's Webster people and you come to this email too, all right. And I start putting people in here. All right. Eric Thurley. I'm going to send it to him. I can add as many people as I want there. That's through email. So right from email, I will send this to people. And then down here, this button's cool. include form in email. How many times have you gotten a form to fill out in an email and the form is already in the email? That's pretty cool. All right, that's this button right here, include form in the email. You don't have to click this. If you don't, it will just send you an email with a link to take the form. This button right here, the link, when you click on the link, it gives you a link to send to people to take the form. Right? So if I wanted to right now, let's do this, shorten URL. You can do this, and it shortens it so you don't have huge links. And I copy this. I can now put this in our chat. All right. You should see a chat saying with a hot link. All right. Don't click on it yet because there's nothing to take. All right. You can put this in an email. You can put this in your Google Classroom. You can put this in, I use Remind as a way to get with my kids, right? You can put this in a Remind text, or you can put it in Seesaw, or you can send it to parents, or you can do whatever you want with it. It's a link, and anybody can take it. This button right here, I've never used. All right, this is embed HTML. I don't know how many people are advanced, but like, you could take this code and insert it into a website, and then the form will show up on the website, not a link to the form, the actual form. So people could literally take a form in your website, right? I don't use websites anymore because we have Google Classroom, but if I was to use forms, let's say for parents, that would be a really cool thing to do. You don't have to memorize the code. You could just literally copy this and embed it into your website. But that's what this button is. Okay? So that's the send button. You could send a message, right? I've invited you to fill out the form. Thank you, whatever, please take time, answer all the questions. I don't know, you can put whatever you want here. You can customize your message in your email. All right, you can put it on Facebook, you can put it on Twitter, but that's how you send your form for people to take it. Next, the snowman button, the more. A couple more things and then we'll talk about how to make a form or some questions. So undo is pretty self-explanatory. It undoes the last thing you did. All right, make a copy. So making a copy of a form is just like making a copy of a Google Doc or making a copy of a Google Slides presentation. It takes all of your form, including your settings, and makes a copy of it. Okay, so why would I do this? I would do this, let's say if I teach, in my world, I teach 3 sections of AP Government. I would make a copy for each of my 3 classes, right? So I would have, you know, block 5 survey, and I would have block 6 survey, whatever. And then when I go and attach those in the Google Classroom, I would then pull these individual forms, right, into that class. So now only those kids are taking this form, and I'm only getting data for block 5. I'm only getting data for block 7. Okay. And what's also nice about that is that allows me to keep the template form, the original form, clean. Okay. And you can make as many copies as you want of the same form. All right. I also make copies of forms when I want to send them to people for them to use. Okay. So like, for example, PLC copy of the survey. Right. I send this copy to my PLC members. That's their copy. They can do whatever they want with it. And then I keep my own. So they aren't feeding into mine accidentally. And again, you can save these wherever you want, just like you can in a Google Drive or any Google Doc or whatever. Okay, so that's why you would make a copy. Move to trash, pretty self-explanatory. Okay, I've never done this, but think about differentiating. Get pre-filled link. If you click on this, it's not going to work because I don't have any questions. It gives you your form, and then you can fill in already some of the responses. And then it will, if you click get link, it will give you a link to that form that you can send to certain people, right? So if I have let's say I have 15 kids in my class, and I know 10 of my kids can handle the full form empty, and they type in the answers, but I know maybe 5 of them might need a little help. I could get a pre-filled link and fill in a couple answers that I know they would struggle with, or give them hints and send them that form. Right? So that's one way to differentiate. Okay? And that's all I did was go to the snowman and get the pre-filled link. And you get to choose what questions you want to pre-fill in, right? Could be one, could be all of them, could be whatever. And then you get that link, and then that link would be different from the original link, and then you could send that to people. Does that make sense? Okay. Print. All right, when you click print, obviously you're going to get to print. I learned this the hard way. If you're super OCD, let's say, about having, let's say, test questions and their answers, the choices all show up on the same page. So like you don't have question 10 and then answer A, B on one page and answer C, D on the next page. Google Forms print doesn't do that, right? It's not nice and neat and pretty all the time. But if you're looking for a quick way to print a form, that's how you do it. Okay. I tell people that, and I learned doing this, that if you're super OCD about that stuff, take your form and put it in a Google Doc, and then you can manipulate your Google Doc print any way you want. But if you have time. Otherwise, you can't change this. You can't move questions around on the sheet so that they show up all on one page. Okay, that's print. All right, add collaborators. This is just like anything else in Google. This is if I want to collaborate with people on my form. All right, so let's say I want to, we're making a common unit exam in US history, right? And I want to send this form to my PLC members so that they can add questions and do what they want with it. Okay, so I could put in here, Nikki Corvo, she's in my PLC, right? And Kelsey Clark, she's in my PLC. Okay, I'm not going to do this right now, but giving them editor, which is the only option, notifying them, sending them a message, all right, and sending it to them gives them this screen. Gives them this. They can start adding questions, right? They are now a collaborator, just as if they would be on a Google Doc or a Google Slide or anything, or as a teacher in a Google Classroom. Okay, that's nice. So you don't have to do all the work sometimes by yourself. All right, and again, then if we had a common form, I would make sure that when we were all done, I would make a copy of that form for myself. Okay, so that only my kids are putting information into that form. Aaron, if you add editors on the same form, all data responses emerge unless you make a copy correct. Yes. Yep. Definitely make a copy when you're all said and done. All right. Script editor. Don't do that. Don't ever play with that. Add-ons. It's similar to this add-on, but this is where you would go and get more add-ons. It takes you to the Chrome store. Don't touch it because we don't have any more. Okay? Those of you who've played with apps and extensions and add-ons before and anything Google, Brian and Joe only push out to us what they vetted. Okay, because all of these apps and extensions and add-ons are third party. They're not approved by Google. They have to be approved individually by district. And there's so many laws and privacy laws and ed laws that, you know, you can't just go on and find a really cool add-on for Google Forms and add it to your computer. Okay, they don't let you do that anymore. And then preferences. This is just a general default settings for your form. Okay, I don't usually play with this because it kind of sets the default for the whole form. I like doing it individually and making sure that I've taken care of this stuff up here in settings in the gear. Okay. Anybody have any questions? Awesome. Can we take a 5-minute break? It's been an hour, so we take a 5-minute break. I need to go get some more coffee, and we'll come back at 11:07, and I'll show you how to start making some questions and different types of questions. All right, looks like everybody's back. Thanks for taking a break. All right, so that was a tour. Let me stop sharing quick. That was a tour of Google Forms. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the different types of questions. Ones that I would ask in a survey. All right. Does anybody have any questions before we get started? Anything they thought of when they were on their break? Okay, let me present. And again, I know probably most of you know how this works. So, okay, so here's my survey. What types of questions do I want to ask in a survey? All right, well, first of all, anytime you're in a Google form, you have this menu over here, the plus, which is add a question, the import questions, adding titles and descriptions, adding images, adding a video from YouTube, and adding sections. All right. We'll keep it easy, okay? So in my opening section here, my opening title is the survey reopening. I could put a form description here. This is a quick survey to gather data about reopening this fall. Hopefully it has spell check because I'm not very good at spelling sometimes, okay? Now I want to add a question. All right, so the first question is going to be whatever. What is your job title? Okay, now notice that Google Forms tries to give you some suggestions as what type of questions you want or you have here. I could keep this short answer. Here is my word to the wise. Anytime you want quick data that can be shown in a graph or a chart, you don't have to go back and necessarily look at every response, I would not use short answer because that allows people to write a whole bunch of stuff. I would keep it multiple choice, checkbox, drop down, and any one of these grids we'll talk about, and maybe even linear scale. All right, so for now, what is your job title? Okay, I'll click drop down. All right, drop down is nice because it's a drop down. All right, so I'm a teacher. Okay, I am a teacher's assistant. I'm a coach. I'm a counselor. Like I can put whatever I want here. Okay. I'm a AP. Okay. Notice down here, I have some options. Okay, I can duplicate this question, which will add it right below. I can make it required, which means people can't skip this question. Okay. I don't have sections, so I can't do this, and I can shuffle the option order. Right? That means I can shuffle this order right here. I don't care which these show up in, I would click this, but it's a survey, so why would I care? I'm not going to do anything with this. Okay? And description, I wouldn't worry about that right now. All right? So the first question in my survey is required. I want to know, are you a teacher? Are you a TA? Are you a counselor? Right? Other. Okay. Actually, you know what? Maybe we can add option. No. All right. So that's a drop down. Okay. Let's add a question in my survey. What level do you work at? Oops. I know these aren't perfectly worded questions. And I'll keep this a multiple choice question. All right. Are you elementary? Are you middle? Are you high school? Are you DAO? Right, and I can click add other. That allows people to type in a response. Okay, again, I want this required. All right, so now I have a drop down. It's required. You'll notice that it's starred. Okay, and I have a multiple choice. Okay, let's add another question. All right, this time we're going to we'll do a linear scale question. Okay, and before I do that, watch what happens. On a scale from 1 to 5, notice it automatically changes to linear scale. How confident, how safe do you think the opening is? So now when you pick a linear scale question, it automatically gives you a 1 to 5 scale. And you can change this. You can make it 1 to 3, 1 to 10, okay, 1 to whatever. And whatever it does is it has you label the extremes, right? One is we are all going to get sick, right? 5 is virus, whatever. Okay. This is a linear scale question. All right. I'll require that. Okay. Next one I want to show you is a checkbox. Okay. Which of these are your greatest concerns for reopening? Notice it gives me checkboxes, right? I could even put here, check all that apply. Wow. 2 fees, buddy. Okay. Option 1, asking. Option 2, distancing. Right. Eating. Passing time. Kids getting sick. I could add a whole bunch of stuff here. And again, if I click add other and people choose other, they'll be able to type something in. Okay, required. All right. So now I've added 4 types of questions. All right, I have drop down, I have multiple choice, I have linear scale, and I have check all that apply. Okay. Responses. There are none. All right. Why don't you guys do me a favor? Go to the chat, see if you can find it, and go to the 1052 chat link and take this survey. Everybody know where it is? I'll put it in there again. Okay, I just chatted it again. Okay, I'm already starting to see responses. If you don't want to take it, that's fine. It's anonymous. Give me another minute. I love that my image is a D-Day image for a reopening survey. I'll have to rethink that. As men are getting off a boat and going to die, sadly. That's us right there, going to school on September 7th, whatever day it is. Sorry, did I say that? I was thinking it. I said it. Be careful where I put this recording. All right, 25 responses. Another 10 seconds. Notice how quick it was. It was quick because I didn't put typing questions. I didn't put a short answer or a long answer. It took you guys, what, 30 seconds to find it and take this survey? And I gathered all of this data. Yeah, Rachel, we'll talk about that in a second. We'll talk about graphing and stuff. Yeah. You can upload responses. So like kids can take pictures of their work, Rachel, and then upload those responses. I'll show you how to do that. All right, so responses. So this is the data that I've collected, okay? 92% of you are teachers, all right? One of you is a TA, all right? One of you is other. What level do you work at? Good mix right here. I can see immediately. I have no DAO. Scale of 1 to 5. How safe do you think reopening is? All right, this is good snapshot data. Interesting. No one thinks what virus. Good. All right. All right, which of these are your greatest concerns? And then that other section allowed you to type stuff in, which was nice. All right, so not only could you checkbox these, looks like a lot of you checked these things, I get to see what you guys typed in, all right here. Okay. So that's a survey, all right? While I'm here, I want to show you this quick, okay? All I did was I went to my responses section. So you have questions and you have responses. I want to show you this because I usually forget, right? Google's nice because it gives you these nice, neat charts, okay? And this button is awesome, this copy chart button. I could take and copy this chart with the question, and I can put that, let's say, I want to put it in a Google Doc, or I want to put it in a slide presentation, okay? If I just make a Google Doc and I want to push this out to kids, or I want to push it out to parents, or I want to push it out to my PLC, I'll title it Survey Responses. I'll be all right. Okay, and I right click, paste, give it a minute. That's what shows up. Okay, and you can do that right from your form. You don't have to like snip anything. Okay, you can put this anywhere. Okay, so like what I do is if I give a quiz or a test, and I can show you this later if I have time, I'll take the most missed questions and copy those questions in their chart, and I'll put them in a Google Doc and say, all right, kids, these were the most missed questions. All right, your homework is to go and research why these were most missed, or find out better answers that we could have put here, or what's wrong with my question, or whatever, and put it all in one Google Doc so kids can have it in one spot. Okay. And when you mark quiz on these forms, and in your responses, it'll have a most missed question spot. It'll tell you which ones the kids missed the most. I'll show you that in a little bit. Okay, so that's a survey. Any questions about a survey? Okay, surveys are quick. And again, you can send these to anybody you want. You can put it on Twitter. You can put it on Instagram. You can do whatever you want. You put it in the Google Classroom. Okay. If I wanted to take this survey, I'll show you this right now. And I go to my Google Forms, right? I shared it with you in the Meet, but if I wanted to say material, right in the stream, please take my survey, mark. I add, okay? You could put the link here, easy. I usually like to pull my forms from my Google Drive. Right? And then it's recent, so it should be there. Double click on it. Okay, there it is. I click post. Don't take it again. All right. Any questions? Good. Let's make a quiz. I'll start a new one. You could go to blank quiz. All that does is it gives you the settings already preset. Okay. I don't do that. I usually just go to blank. All right. This is where we're going to get some cool stuff. So I'm going to go practice quiz. Okay. Click down here. It's been named. All right. I'm going to go to my settings as I always do. Okay. I'm going to collect email addresses because I want to be able to send stuff back to kids. All right. I'm going to limit them to one response. I'm going to restrict it only to people in Webster CSD. I don't want them to edit it after they're done. I don't want them to see summary charts and text responses. You can do that if you would like. Presentation. I'm not going to do any of this stuff because it's not going to be very long, and I don't want to shuffle the question order. I want it to all be uniform in case I want to print it. Okay. Check your grade on Google Classroom later. Okay, quizzes. It's not checked. I want to check it. I'm not going to lock it. I'm going to go later after manual review. And when I do review it and return it to kids, I want them to see all of this stuff. I want them to see what questions they missed. I want them to see the correct answers. And I want them to know how much each question is worth, especially on partial credit questions. Right? You can award partial credit, let's say on a short answer. It's out of 10, I give them 5. That's important because when I say, okay, go back and find the questions that you didn't get full credit on, how do I know I didn't get full credit? Well, it says 5 out of 10. Okay, you can do it. You can figure it out. And I click save. Right? Notice it says this form is automatically collecting email addresses. Right? If I forgot to uncheck that and go back in, I could change my settings here. Okay, I'm not going to play with anything else. I'm not going to play with the theme or anything. So obviously, I've already shown you a couple questions. Now I'm going to show you a couple other things. So first question, who is this? What's really cool about Google Forms is they've added this right here, this little image thing. It's also over here, right? But I like it here. It's nice. It's right in case I forget. Notice when I go to insert image, I can upload. That means it's coming from my computer. It's been downloaded somewhere at some point. It's on my computer. I can take a picture of it on my webcam. I don't know why you would ever do that. You can search for it by URL, right? You could take it from your Google Photos. You could take it from your Google Drive. And this is awesome. They just added this. You could do a Google image search, right? See if people know who this is. Yeah. Look at that guy. You're fired. When you click insert, right, it shows up right there. Now you can make it smaller. Obviously, that's huge. That's a little too menacing for me. Okay. When I click off of it, it gives me these 3 buttons. You can left align, center align, right align, change it, remove it. You can add a caption. I'm going to center align it. Okay. Who is this? Short answer. I don't want it to be short answer because I want it to be graded automatically. We'll go multiple choice. Okay. Donald Duck. Trump. Schumer. Obama. Okay. I don't want kids to add another option. All right. Before I go any further, it's a quiz. I want to go to answer key. I want to pick the right answer. It's Trump. I want to give it points. We'll say it's 3. Make it whatever you want. Okay. I can add answer feedback if I want. I'm not going to do that. I've already shown you how to do that. Okay. Done. Do I want this question to be required? If it's a quiz, I don't want kids to skip it. I don't want kids to skip it. Okay. I could shuffle the option order. That means I've talked to you about this. This just gives kids, it'll show up, these options will show up differently on kids' Chromebooks or wherever they take their stuff. All right. Okay, that's a multiple choice question. Is it possible to import math questions? If not, is there a math tool with symbols? Oh, we got into this last time. Okay, so you math people, ready? The lowdown is that there is a thing called Equatio, EQUATIO, that we bootleg tried last Google Forms PD. Some people could do it, some people could not. And it does exactly what math people need to do. And if you get it to work, it's awesome. And then when we questioned Brian Zimmer about why it works for some people and why it doesn't work for other people, he flat out said no one is supposed to have it. So it's not been vetted. So that's probably not going to work. His response was try Kami, K-A-M-I. You can do some math symbols that way. All right. Other than that, yes, Jessica, you have to insert as an image. Okay. Now I'm going to show you quickly while we're on images, how to do images that aren't. I had a question. What is this? Okay. Notice when you click on add images, right? Let's say I can't find it in any of these spots, right? Let's say it's on some PDF somewhere and I want to like snip an image, all right? This gets super convoluted, so I just want to show you this. If I lose you, I've linked a how-to video in the agenda, all right? So again, I'm going to upload it eventually, but I'm not going to take a picture of it, right? I don't have an URL. It's not in my Google Photos. It's in my Google Drive, but I can't necessarily I don't want to put a whole PDF in there, and I can't search it by image on Google search. All right. So let's find a PDF in my Google Drive or something that I want to just take a part of. Okay, give me a second, please. Say it doesn't have to be a PDF. It could be anything. Awesome. Look at this. All right, we'll do my daughter's perimeter, third grade perimeter stuff. I want, let's say, this triangle to be the image. I don't want the whole PDF. Like, I want this to be the question. All right, I believe you guys all have this. It's called the snip tool. Okay, the snip tool is probably the second greatest invention on this computer. When you click on snip, this comes up. I click new. Now you can open and drag what you want the question to be. Now, if snip tool worked perfectly, which it hasn't in over a year, I would be able to download this immediately. Don't click this button because it'll freeze your computer. I've learned this the hard way about 5 times. All right. What you have to do is you can't just take this immediately and drop it into your form. Okay. You have to make a copy of it. All right. So now it's on your clipboard. And what I do is I put it in a Google Doc. We'll just use this doc because I already have it open. And I click paste. Now, I still have a few more steps, so bear with me. Now, this image is on a Google Doc, but it's not quite Google-fied yet. So what I do is I make sure I click off of it and get the blue box. I right-click on it. And now I want to save it to keep. Right? Save to keep. Now, Google Keep loads up over here, and you need to know 0 about Google Keep right now. But what you did is this. Okay? I then come over here to Google Keep. I right-click on it. And now I'm going to save image as, because this is going to download it. It'll give me a download screen. All right, I'm going to name it triangle. We'll call it 3 because it's a different one. I'm going to click save. Now, when you download things, this little thing in the bottom left corner starts. This is wonderful stuff right here. Okay, because now I can open my practice quiz. I'm in upload. Instead of browsing, I can drag this here. It turns blue. Boom sauce. There it is. I've clipped an image from a PDF. Okay. And now that is the question. I know that was a lot of steps. And trust me, I have tried 17 different ways to do this. And this is the best way I've found to do it. You can do it in Paint. But so my suggestion to people who like to snip a lot of images, open a blank Google Doc, okay, and put your snipped images in that doc so it's there forever. So what I'd like to be honest, let's say I'm making a unit exam. I'll open up a Google Doc, call it Unit 3 Unit Exam Images, snip what I want, put them all in one Google Doc so they're always there and I never have to go back and re-snip them. Especially because, you know, the snip tool will probably go away someday. Okay? And I'll always have them. Plus, if you download them, they're always loaded on your computer, but at least you have them all in one spot. Okay? Again, I know that was a lot, but. All right.
Eric, what if you
Yeah,
try
Laura.
to upload something and it just says it doesn't support it? Like I'm trying to upload stuff and it won't do it.
What are you trying to upload? Is it it's either got to be a JPEG or a PNG
Oh, is that, it has to be a JPEG?
or a PNG?
So you have to, because that's different than what we use in on the Dell board, right? Dell board, you have to have PDFs. So if you have that for a PDF, this isn't the same?
The PDF is the document. The snip I took is a ping.
Okay, so you can't snip from a PDF.
I just did. You can snip from a PDF,
Okay.
but you're snipping a JPEG or a ping. All that?
That's mod.
Hey, Laura, I'll tell you what. In an hour, or we're getting close.
Yeah, that would be good.
Maybe you can share your screen with me, and I'll show you. We'll talk about it.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So what is this? Obviously, this is a triangle. Again, there are a whole bunch of different questions you could put here. You could put short answer. Okay, please notice this, especially you English and history teachers. The difference between short answer and paragraph is nothing for you. It affects the students. I found this out the hard way. If you click short answer and kids only write a couple words or maybe a sentence, it doesn't affect them. But if you make this short answer and you want kids to, let's say, write a paragraph, okay? The kids got mad at me because when they were typing their responses in their text box, they couldn't see the question. If you click paragraph, they can type as much as they want. Their text box moves, but the question doesn't move. Okay? I got yelled at for that. I learned that the hard way. I love when kids yell at me because I remember it. Okay? That's the difference. So if you want kids to write a paragraph on this triangle here, it's quadrilateral or whatever it is, okay, you could do that. What other types of questions? All right, I'm going to go quick here. Next question. We can do matching. Match the person with the job title. This now becomes a multiple choice grid question. When I click on this, think rows and columns. Okay? Rows and columns, like you would do it on a piece of paper. All right, so in the rows, okay? All right, across, I'm going to put the names. I'm going to put Trump, Pelosi, Early, LeBron James. And over here, columns are going to be your answers. You can put them in any order you want. It doesn't matter. All right, I could put here basketball player. Okay. Otis. Rep. Teacher. Okay. Now, like up here, we can require that kids answer these questions. You can make it so that Trump be able to spell someday. You can make it sure that you require a response in each row. So when kids take this, they can't skip a row. Now, answer key. Check this out. I'm going to put the answers. Otis, rep, teacher, basketball player. And now you can assign points per row. So like I want this to be 2, 2, 2, 2. All right, so kids get 2 points for this, 2 points for this, so on. You get what I'm saying here. And notice when I do that, that'll add 8 points to my total up here. Okay. All right, that is a multiple choice grid. A checkbox grid. That's this one. This allows kids to do the same thing, but check multiple answers per row. That makes sense? In a multiple choice grid, you can only check one thing per row. In a checkbox grid, you can check multiple things per row. Okay? Match or check all of the characteristics of the following. All right, and over here I could put like money. I could put resources. I teach economics, obviously. And I can keep going. And column 1 could be, you know, it's durable, scarce, right? It's green. I can keep going here. And again, I can answer key. All right, money is durable. It is scarce. It is green. 3 points. Resources are scarce. All right. That's 1 point. I didn't put a third row. I could have put something else here. Okay. Row 3 is durable, scarce, and green. 3 points. This allows kids to choose multiple things per row. Done. And again, I can require a response in each row. We'll put tacos here. Okay. So everybody understand the difference between a multiple choice grid and a checkbox grid? Both allow you to make rows and columns. Both allow you to award points per row, but only checkbox grids allow you to choose multiple things per row. Okay. All right, let's add a video. Watch this. You know what? Let me rephrase that. When you want to watch a video, you can't do it within a question. So what I do is I go to the last question, and then you'll notice I'm in the last question here. I add a title and description. That's the TT. Okay. Video. Description. Watch this video and answer the question. Right? Now from here, right in this, I click the YouTube button, add video. Right? Obviously, if it's on YouTube, since YouTube is a Google product, it's going to work nicely. You can get videos from other sources. Like if I want to go to historychannel.com, I could, as long as there's a link to that video, I can paste that link into the URL right here. All right? Let's say I want to do a YouTube video on, I don't know, coronavirus in schools. Might find a couple of these. Okay. And obviously, I mean, schools reopening, NBC Nightly News, select. Video is going to show up. All right. I can take the video in schools. Now, we're going to be like, when I go to look at this, I can't watch it. No. But when you go to preview it, you'll be able to see it. All right. And again, I can center this. I like to center my things. All right. And then the question shows up right below. Right? What is the main idea of this video? Again, you can make it multiple choice. You can make it whatever you want. Okay? I've shown you all of these. Now, someone was asking, can kids do stuff on a piece of paper and submit it? That's this right here. It's called file upload. So you're a math teacher or a science teacher and kids are like, I can't type this into the thing. All right, well, do it on paper. And this now lets respondents upload files right into this Google form. Now, They have to be obviously to be able to take a picture of it. All right. And taking a picture would require their phone and putting it in Google Drive so they could upload it, or they could hold it up to their webcam. Okay. There's a couple of options for kids to load stuff as a picture. All right. But that's what that does. It lets kids upload stuff from their drive right into the form. Okay. And kids need to know how to get stuff into Drive. For high school students, I tell them on day one, your phone's your best friend besides your Chromebook. Obviously, kids know that. They always have their phone. I want you to download, I want you to have these apps on your phone: Google Drive, Google Classroom, Google Docs, very least. Having Google Drive on their phone allows them to take pictures and immediately upload it into Google Drive, as long as they're signed into their Webster account, which is a 2-second thing. If they don't have Google Drive on their phone, they can do it. It's just a couple more steps, but it's seamless. Okay. All right. We're going to cancel that. I don't want to do that one. Okay. We'll make this short answer. I'll make this, I don't know, 38 points. Now, when you do short answer, and this is why I do what I do, you can add a correct answer and then mark all other answers incorrect. But think about how kids spell and write. Don't do this. So if you have anything short answer or paragraph, right, you need to go back and grade this individually and award it points. That's why I don't do immediate review. Like, I don't click that button that allows them to see their responses right after they take the form. All right. I go back and manually review it so that ultimately I can grade this 38-point question based on this video, offer them feedback. Okay. And then tell them why they missed what they missed, and then release that score to kids. Does that make sense? All right. The only other thing I didn't show you how to do is you can import questions. That's this button right here. All right. You're an avid Google form user like me. I could import questions from any form I've ever done. Okay, we'll pick, I don't know, we'll pick this one. Notice it gives me the questions. I can select all and import them right in there. I can pick whatever question I want. I can change the form, all right? I want to import all of these questions. Boom, import them. And now they show up at the bottom. What is today? What is tomorrow? And because it's a quiz, I can now go make an answer key for this. Today is Tuesday. That is 4 points. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Whoops. Sorry. Okay, that's 4 points. Done. So I've imported questions from an old form. All right. So there's my quiz. I've shown you videos. I've shown you how to snip. I've shown you images. I've shown you multiple choice grid. I've shown you checkbox grid. All right. I've shown you how to import questions. All right. I've shown you a whole bunch of stuff here. Okay. Any questions about that? So now I'll show you 2 more things, and I'll cut you loose. Okay. Let's find a form where I have a lot of stuff. All right, so this was a unit exam that I've given. Okay, this was an economics unit exam that I gave that obviously was a quiz. Okay. Oh, shoot. Did I get rid of the responses? No, 49 responses. So these are seniors. Well, we're seniors. Okay, so this is what responses looks like. Leah, you can't do that. There's no quick thing. There is, Leah, Leah says, can you take old unit Word or Google Docs and quickly convert them to Google Forms? There is an extension that's called Doc to Form, but it only lets you take 10 questions before you have to pay. So you're better off just cutting and pasting, splitting your screen and cutting and pasting. That's what I do. Emily says, do you lose points for wrong answers? In a checkbox grid, I believe you do. Good. Okay. So this is what responses look like in an exam. Please notice when you do an exam, you have summary, question, individual. All right. First off, notice in summary, this is the summary of the 49 kids who took my form. Okay. 49 kids. Here's the average score, the median score, and the range. This one was out of 110 points because I had some bonuses. All right. There are my frequently missed questions, which is nice. Only 8 out of 49 kids got this question right. I can click right on this question and go to it. And again, I could copy that and put it in a Google Doc or a slide and say, hey, kids, let's talk about this. Okay. Share it with kids. Summary gives you charts of the whole 49 people. Tells you the correct answer and the answers that kids picked total. All right, summary is cool. It gives you nice data. Okay, it tells you the kids that took it in their emails. It tells you their scores after I graded it. And it says when I released these scores. Releasing these scores, remember, I don't have immediate release. I grade them and then release them. I could do it again if I wanted. Okay, I don't want to do it because these kids would be like, Thurley, what's wrong with you? I've already graduated. All right. You'll also notice, by the way, here's something quick. If you're lazy, like I was this past year, and I didn't want to create 3 separate forms for kids for 3 separate classes, I asked this question as the first question. Which class are you in, AP Gov? Are you in this one, or this one? And I'll show you why that's cool. Okay. In responses, anytime you start a Google form, it creates a sheet. Right? Actually, Google Forms started as an extension for Google Sheets. Now Google Forms is its own thing. So I can review my responses in Google Sheets. You don't have to do this. This is a tiny bit advanced. Okay, and because I've already opened this, I can now get a Google Sheet of all the kids and every response that they had. I don't need all that stuff. I just want to break it down by class. Okay, so notice here, which class are you in? All right, I have all my 2A, 1B, 2AB, 1D kids, and then I have all my 3BCD kids, and then I have all my 5 ABC kids right there. There's their names, there's their scores. Okay, and that was simply by asking this question first. Now, the bad part about that is now I have, in my summary, I have 3 classes worth of kids who put into this. I could go back into this sheet and manipulate this data to get what I want, but I don't really need to know all that. If I wanted it specifically by class, I would make 3 separate forms. Okay, question. This allows you to show answers by question. So like, let's pick a question in the middle. Which of these following products is an asset? All right, 46 kids got the right answer. 1 kid picked a Big Mac from McDonald's. That's wrong. 1 kid picked a massage. 1 kid picked a school lunch. Okay. So you get to see by question. All right. And again, if I had short answer ones, I don't think I have any short answer ones in this one, do I? The this right here. No. If I had short answers, I could go back in here and see all of the responses by response. All right. And then I could literally award points like, yeah, that question, instead of looking at it by kid, I'm looking at it by question, and I could award points by question rather than by kid. Sometimes I do that. And then individual, if I want to go and look at individual scores and tests, right? I can click on any kid that took the test. Okay, Morgan. Here's her test. She got an 84. I can go back and look at her test specifically. All right. So that's what responses is. That's in the responses section. Also notice a couple other things over here. I'm going to highlight it. Oops. This button, accepting responses. If you unclick this, all right, the link that you sent to kids or put in your Google Classroom doesn't work anymore. Okay. I haven't turned this off because kids graduated and they probably lost their Google accounts anyway. Okay. Let's say I keep this on. And I want to know when kids have submitted this form after it was due. Let's say this wasn't an in-class test. It was an assignment that I assigned. The kids are turning it in during distance learning over a week span, and I don't want to keep going back into the form and seeing when kids have done it. I can go here, and I can click Get Email Notifications for New Responses. All right, so now I know that, you know, I assigned it over the week. I know when the kids have taken it throughout the week. I'll get an email, and since my email is linked to my phone, it's pretty handy. Okay, I can download the responses. I can print responses. I can delete all of the responses. This keeps your sheet, but it turns your form clean, meaning it takes every kid who responded and deletes their responses so you can start from scratch. All right. So next year when I give Economics Unit 3 exam, I could go ahead and make a copy of this, or I could just delete all of these responses and give this form to kids. Okay. All right. I'm seeing questions. Yeah, thank you, Leslie. Can fractions be turned into percentages in the Google form? I have no idea. You'll have to play with that. The math thing, I feel bad for math teachers in Google Forms. Okay? Try Kami. Try downloading Equatio. I don't think it's going to work, but okay, let's see here. Password protection. I'm not going to show you that because we're a little bit late, but there's a way to create. Oh, the last thing I didn't show you. Yeah, I know. Duh. Branching. All right. How did I create sections in this form? All right. This was my George Washington, Abe Lincoln, Fred Douglass, Susan B. Anthony one. To create sections, that's this button right here. All right. And it'll add a section to your form after wherever you are. Okay, so let's say I want to add a section after, right? After Susan B. Anthony, I want to add another section. Add section. There's section 6 of 6. Okay, and I want to put here, I don't know. We could put Lewis, since he just passed away. Okay. Sections is nice, obviously, because when you branch, right, that's what I did up here, right, you have to create sections. A choose your own path Google form, you have to have sections. Because when you start creating sections, right, that gives you down here, so like let me add John Lewis here. Okay. You click these 3 dots in the bottom right corner. Now that I've created sections, it allows me to go to section based on answer. Okay. You have to click this. And notice when I have that clicked, up here are my options. If they pick George Washington, they go right to the next section, which is section 2. If they pick Abe Lincoln, they go to section 3. If they pick Frederick Douglass, they go to section 4. If they go to section 5, they click Susan B. Anthony, they go to this. Now, for this one, I just added John Lewis. I can click go to section 6, John Lewis. Branching is a little bit advanced. My advice for you, for people who want to try it, is plan it out ahead of time. Make your sections first. Put what you want in those sections, and then make that first question the choices, right? Choose your path today. Do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? And then have this clicked so that kids can go to different sections of the form based on what they choose. Now, if you want to be super advanced, they could branch within a branch, right? I could have them go to George Washington and say, okay, now you're in George Washington. Do you want a primary source, a secondary source? Do you want a video? Do you want, whatever? And then they could go to another section. But that's a lot of planning. Okay. All right. And any other questions down here? Let's make sure I've. Talking about this. All right. Last thing. I showed you how to put. Where is our Google Classroom? I've shown you how to put things in a Google Classroom. I would say the easiest way to assign a quiz in the Google Classroom is this. And there's some discrepancy here because people get confused. When you go to the classwork section and you click create, there's this. Don't use it. All right? It's clunky. Create your quiz or your assessment in Google Forms first. Make it an assignment in Google Classroom. Create assignment. Okay. Quiz 1, whatever we called it. What was it called? Practice quiz? Practice QZ. You can put instructions here. Click add. Pull it from your Google Drive. Here's my practice quiz. We did. Notice Google Classroom notices already that it's a quiz. Okay? If it was a survey and that the quiz function wasn't clicked, it wouldn't give you this function. It gives you grade importing, which is nice because now when my students, you guys, you're not going to do it. You take this practice quiz and I grade it and return it to you. I will then have a button that allows me to import grades. All right. So let's say this is out of 100 points. For due dates, I usually give the end of the block. Okay. So if it's class ends at 10:25, I make it due at 10:25. So then I know which kids turned it in late. I can give it a topic. I'm not going to attach a rubric because you don't need that for these. And I click assign. Okay, now notice that when I come here as the teacher, I see that 0 people have turned it in out of 25. I can view the assignment, and we're not going to do it now, but everything's out of 100 because that's how much I made it. I'll make sure my quiz is out of 100. Right now, it's only out of 64. All right, but I would make that out of 100. And then I have this button right here. It's called Import Grades. This will pull the grades from the form and put them right here. And then I can return the forms right through Google Classroom. Okay. For you high school and middle school teachers, here's a sneak piece of information for you. This year, when you create a Google Classroom, you will be able to link your Google Classroom gradebook to Infinite Campus. Okay? So taking your grades through Google Classroom, if there's a couple buttons you have to click in settings, it will automatically populate, as long as they're number grades, in Infinite Campus this year. So think about that functionality. You give a test, a quiz, an assessment. It's in a form. You've imported that form into Google Classroom. You import grades. It shows up here on your Google Classroom gradebook. It will then also show up in your Infinite Campus account. And kids will be able to see it, and parents will be able to see it on their portal. One last step. They've been doing beta for that for a long time, and apparently it's working. In fact, when you guys go to create a Google Classroom this year, it will ask you first thing, do you want to link it to a class? Obviously, we don't have our classes yet, so you'll have to do it later. You can do it through settings, right? All right, if you go to settings, okay, link to class, and they'll pull it right from your Infinite Campus account. Okay, bammo. That went long. 2 hours today. All right. How do you know if kids have cheated? You don't, Linda. All right. You need to make sure that you either have that classroom relay thing, and that's a Brian Zimmer question, or you need to keep walking around the room, or make sure kids aren't facing each other or looking at each other, or yeah, that's one of the deals. And I will also say that I allow kids to do test corrections on my unit exams. Because this is digital, right? They will get when I release their form, it will give them a copy of their form with all the answers and all the incorrect answers and all the feedback and stuff. They can easily copy that stuff into a Google Doc, right? So I'll say, okay, copy the questions that you got wrong, put the right answer with an explanation, and then turn that Google Doc in as test corrections.
Eric.
And everything's digital. Joanne.
Hi. I had a note back a while ago. I didn't see how you assign partial credit. I don't know how to do that, even though I've used Google Forms. Where do you decide partial credit?
So you can do that in a couple spots. You guys seeing my screen right now? Are you seeing my economics quiz?
No. Go to it.
Oh, I stopped presenting, that's why. Let me do it quick. Are you seeing my economics unit 3 exam now? Okay, so Joanne asked, how do I award partial credit? So if I'm in the responses section, okay, I can do it by question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I could go to individual,
Oh.
okay, and pick whatever question I want. So let's say, you know, this kid right here, Morgan Hardy. I mean, this is a multiple choice question. So I could go here and I could say, no, you know what? She got 1 out of 2. All I did was click the down button. And immediately when you make changes, it'll ask you to save it. Okay. So if this was a short answer question, and let's say it was out of 30, and you thought the kid got 15 points or 20 or whatever, you could make this 20 out of 30 and then click save, and that would add to their score. That makes sense?
Yeah.
The
Thank you.
easiest way to do it is through individual.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Trying to look for a short answer question that had. This was an economics exam, so it had all mostly multiple choice questions. But that's how you do it, right?
Okay. Yep.
I could give this kid 6 out of 2 points. I can give him whatever I want. All right. You did a really good job.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
Any other questions?